What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. I'm going to be starting a series just on like a devlog. I'm just going to be working on different projects that I have and just kind of recording it and talking over, and hopefully you can learn something from the things that I do. And I will be releasing some of these projects that I'm working on. I'm just I don't really want to work on anything new, and I have a ton of like half finished projects that I probably need to get working. So I'm gonna open up my Roblox studio, and I got my chat GPT open, which is fine. And I'm going to open up my advanced phone now. I've been staring at this thing for like a week. It's just not doing anything to it. I kind of have some design going, like it kind of resembles an iPhone, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted the function to feel like a phone, like a real phone. So here I have like my message frame, and I don't know, I think I'm just gonna delete it. I don't really like it that much. And I have my pages. So my pages here, this is like this is just like your home screen of your phone. And like if we add more buttons down here, you can see that it'll like, that's the call. We don't want that. You can see that, it'll just like position it automatically. So we can have like a bunch of apps and it'll resemble like a phone. And that's really what I was trying to do. But I have a lot of work that I need to do this. Like I need to like change the buttons around. I need to like not change the buttons around, but I need to make everything functional, and then I need to make the actual messages frame like not suck. So I think the first thing that I'm gonna do is just like redesign my messages frame, because I don't want like too many unnecessary functions in here. And like I really want to just be able to like text somebody, or you to be able to call somebody and leave a message. And that's like a pain in the butt, but that's all right. So what I like first thing I really want to do is set this up. So I'm gonna say local player is equal to game.players.localPlayer, and then we want to like specify our pages. So like local homepage is equal to script.parent.pages. So that's our home page, and then like our message page is gonna be messages. So just keeping it real simple. I don't want to make this like crazy hard. I we do need to like figure out how we're gonna call all of these buttons without it being such a pain in the butt. And I don't know if I want to like use a function that will like get all the children, and then we can figure out which one has been triggered, which would probably be like the easiest way to do it. And then we'd just have to name like the buttons the same names of the frame, or like just something. I'm not too sure how I want to do this. So I'm just gonna make all the buttons like trigger individually, and the way that I want to do that is pretty simple. We already have our home page and our message page, both. That's crazy. But we already have the home page and the message page already set up in our parameters, and so we can find our buttons. So since I'm just gonna be making the message button work first, I'm just gonna say local WhatsApp is equal to homepage dot dot page one dot, and then I didn't rename any of these, which is awesome. So I'm gonna have to go back and rename all of them. So we want this one, we're just gonna call it messages. So dot messages. And then we're gonna say WhatsApp dot mouse button one click connect function, and then when that happens we want the messages frame. So if message dot visible is equal to false, then message, wait, make sure we put two equals here, guys. Message dot visible is equal to true, else message dot visible is equal to false, just in case, you know. I don't really see why we would need that, honestly, because it's always going to be if you can't see it, then you know it's going to be false. And but we also want to set our home page visibility to false. And then once we do that, we can just set up our home button. So local home is equal to script.parent.home button dot text button. I think that's right. Yeah. And then we'll do the same thing for home button dot mouse button. Wait, mouse. What the hell? Dot mouse button. So why is that not working? Oh, that's home page, home button. I was about to say, bro. I was getting upset. So then we want to say if homepage.visible is equal to false, then and then what we want to do is, for right now, since we only have the messages frame, we're going to want to, maybe the best way to do this would be to get all of the children of it. So pairs, and then we're going to say get children, and we'll say do, and we'll say if frame is a frame and frame dot name is not equal to home button, then we'll say frame dot visible is equal to false. And so what that'll do is it'll set all of our frames to false, and then what we can do here up under our for ivy and pair statement is set our home page to true. And hopefully that'll work, because I have no idea, but we're about to find out. So we can see if I'm a genius or not. And I'm probably not a genius. And this phone is entirely too big. And it works. So boom. Alright, boom. Yeah, hey, that's pretty dope actually. Boom. So it works. So now that we have that function figured out, our home button works. We don't really have to go in and change our home button. If we want to add a frame, it'll always make our home page to visible. And now I just need to make this functional here, because I don't want this to not be functional. It's kind of stupid if it is, if it isn't. And we're going to have to figure out a lot of ways to make this work, because this is an ambitious project for me. So not too sure how it's going to go, to be honest with you. I've been stuck on this WhatsApp thing for like 3 days trying to figure this out. So hopefully just getting the coding going, getting the brain juices flowing will help us just start figuring some of this out. So now that we have those two things, what we can do is actually begin to code a lot of our like message buttons. So a lot of what we're going to need to do is make this work with a server script as well, and this is where it's going to get really, really confusing for you if you're new, but it's also going to confuse me a little bit, just because I'm not entirely sure. Like, we're going to have to try a lot of different things to make this work, because manipulating a GUI with a server script in the player's GUI can be quite difficult sometimes. That's why like when you want to manipulate things with a server script, you use remote events and you fire that event back and forth between the client and the server. So what we can do is pretty simple. We can have events that when certain apps are opened, that event will fire, and then we can fire it back to the client so that it'll update. So like, you can literally fire something from the server and then have that server fire that same event back to the client. And so that's how they're communicating back and forth between each other. And we can use that to our advantage. And what we want to do is fairly simple. I want to go ahead and just create a script here. I'm going to just rename this the phone handler. And since this is always going to be in the player's GUI, then we're going to have to like write some code that like when we open up our WhatsApp, we want to fire to the server to like update, who we can message, who we can call. And we also want to write some, events for those different call and message events. So it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride, because I still, like, even as I'm talking right now, I'm just coming up with new ideas of like what we can do to make the call frame more interactive. And I think this call frame is just going to be like a longer video, like, just because there's so much that I want to do with it, and there's just so much that there's so much cool stuff we can add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say message start, or we're going to call this message. We'll just call this messenger open, right? And so when the player like opens the message, like the WhatsApp frame, then we want to fire a server event. So we're going to say game.replicated.storage.messenger open, and then we're going to say fire server, okay? And so what this is going to do is it's going to go to the server, and we're going to say game.replicatedStorage.messenger open on server event connect function. Before I get too far with this and like make everything just look like stupid crazy, I actually want to put this in a folder and just call this phone events. And this is just going to help us keep it a little bit more organized, so that like while we're coding this, we'll be able to like find these events, and then whenever I release this to everybody, it's just like an easy setup, and it's not going to like make your replicated storage look like crazy overcrowded. So if you ever wanted to go back and like edit things, it's not going to be hard to find these events. You'll know where they're at. So now that we have that, we can do this again. Dot messenger open on server event connect function, and then in here we're going to say player. You always have to put the player parameter in the server. And so now that we have this, what we want to do is fairly simple. We want to first of all make it so that when a new player joins the game, we're going to fire all the clients in the server so that like all the message frames will update so that you can like send people messages, you know. And so the way that we can do that is really simple, right? We're just going to say game dot replicated storage. No. We're going to say game dot players. We're going to say local players. Fuck, I don't even know how to do this. Alright, so we're going to say whenever this event is fired, right? We want to get all the players in the game is equal to game.players get, no, we're going to say get children. Alright. And then here we want to say when this replicated, like when this event is fired, then we want to like fire a client event to all the clients, which is players. So what we're going to do is just do exactly what we wrote up there. Game.replicatedStorage.phone events dot messenger open fire all clients, and then here we can put players. And so that's going to get, anytime this is fired, it's just going to get all the players in the server, and then it's going to fire all the clients, right? And so then we can come back here, and we can say game.replicatedStorage.phone events messenger open on client event connect function. And then in here, we want to do a couple of things. So we want to get all the players in the game, just like we did in the server, right? And then we want to create message labels for each of them. So if we go in here, right, and you see in our pages, and we have our call position, message position, and status position. In our message position, I mean, we have our messages and our template here, right? So we can go ahead and set this template to visible as false. And what we can do is we can say local player template is equal to game. It's actually equal to script. Actually, no. We can say is equal to message dot message. So that goes to messages. Oh yeah, dot pages. Dot message position. Dot template. Dot message position. Dot messages. Dot template. Okay. So what that is gonna do is get that template for us, and what we want to do in this template is a couple of things. It's going to be, I don't know how difficult it's going to be. I don't even know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it out and see. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the image label and the text of that template. So we're going to say local, oops, don't do that. Okay, so we're going to say local new template or new player is equal to player template, and then we're going to say clone. Okay, when that's going to clone our player template, and then we're going to say new player dot text label is equal to, okay, actually what we want to do first is we want to say for I comma template in pairs, and then in here we're going to say game dot players get children, and then we're going to say actually this will be player, so for PLR, so keep it different from your actual like player function, name it something different. So that's going to get all of our players in the game. It's going to loop through all of them. It's going to get all of them individually. And then for each player in the game, so that's what we're saying. So for each player in the game, that's what this statement is saying. Then we want to create a new player template. So we want to say local new player is equal to player template. And then we want to clone this. And then this is where we can start editing these values. So we can say new player dot text label is equal to player, and make sure you use plr dot name. And so that's going to create a new label for every player in the game, or it's going to create a new template for every player in the game. And then in that new template, it's going to change the text label text to the player's name, so you know what player it is. And then what we want to do is we want to get the player's user ID and put the image right here. And so there's a link you can do that with. I have it in my in a different studio file here, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we are going to go in here and just get that line of code out, because I don't remember exactly what the line of code is, but I know exactly where it is. I know exactly where we can find it. So this right here is what you want to put in whenever you do your user ID. It's a long link, and it's what the game is going to use to sorry, this is a commission file, not a commission file. I'm helping somebody with that. But this is what we're going to use to change the image label inside of here to the player's ID. So we're going to say new player dot image label, dot image, and then we want to get rid of this dot here, is equal to, and then in this receive player, I'm going to just change this to our player. Boom. So player dot user ID. And so what that should do is create a new template for every player in the game, and then change the name and the picture. And then after we do that, we want to set this our template visibility to true so that we see it. So now when we join the game, this should update, and you should even see yourself on there. So that's a good way to check, right? So it didn't really work. Text label is not a valid member of frame.template. So I don't know if we called it something else. Maybe I'm tripping, but it's right here, text label. So did I spell it wrong? So we have to put the text. So that's an easy mix-up. It threw an error. So sometimes you need to check that. It's going to throw errors. It's not going to be like, hey, you forgot this. It's going to be pretty literal with you. So still, when we open it, we're not getting anything. And a good way to check to see if this is working or not, we can go into here and go into our player GUI, to our phone, messages, pages, message frame. And so we still have our template here. And so as you can see, it didn't clone, and I'm not entirely sure why. This is why I was saying that this is like gonna be a pain in the butt for anything. So I'm gonna take a quick break here for a minute. Just go think about this. I'm gonna just pause the video and come back in a minute and just see what I come up with. Alright guys, so after some thought and some consideration, I think it would probably be better to do all of this outside of the local script, possibly. And I'm not entirely sure, honestly, because I feel like this should work, right? So like for all the players in the game, and then we get the template, and then we clone it, right? Now, I don't know exactly what to do because I think it is like pretty fairly simple. And maybe we don't need to do this players thing. Maybe we just need to do player instead. So it's gonna fire all the clients and then the player. And I don't know. It's beyond me. So let's try that. And maybe that's the fix of the day. Maybe that'll fix everything, and we can move on with our lives happily. Maybe not. No, no, nothing's ever easy around here. So let's check this again. You know what? What we're gonna do is, in fact, I'm. Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. You know what? You know what? Okay. So instead of doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that bad boy in server storage, and then I'm gonna write a damn thing up here, and we're gonna call this game.players.player added connect function player. Damn, I always do that. Can never get it smooth. And then we're gonna say local GUI is equal to server storage dot server storage dot phone, and then we're gonna say local new GUI is equal to game is equal to GUI clone, and then we're gonna say new GUI dot parent is equal to player. Oh, you know what? That makes, you know what? We ain't got to do all this. I don't think. We might come back and add that again. But I just realized that we got to set the parent. Because anytime you clone anything, and if you don't set the parent, it's just not gonna work. So we're gonna say new player dot parent is equal to message dot pages dot message position dot messages, and that should fix it. That should fix it right up, boys. Let's hope. Let's cross our fingers, because like I'm tired of doing this already. And hey, look at that, it worked. So we didn't have to do anything too crazy. I want to see that if I go into a test server with 2 players, I want to see if it's going to show up for both players, or if it's just going to break and not work and be a piece of trash that we're going to have to throw in the dumpster. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sure yet. It just takes forever to load. I hate doing these like 2-player tests because it takes like 3 years to go. And then like if it's broken, then you gotta restart it and do it again. Oh my goodness. Alright, so it's only showing like that one player. So we do have to do all the players, I think, in here, because it's only going to show that one player. So can I undo whatever I did here and see? Come on now, you're almost there. Boom. Alright, so change that to players. So now that we have that, let's try this again. So it's obviously working. I think it might be a problem with the local script and not the actual player script, and it might be fine, because it just might not be like replicating the player's own one, or because I didn't look at that. I could be wrong. We'll see. Maybe what we did just fixed everything, and we won't have to end this video early. I don't know. Player 1. So I am player 1. That's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. So if I open this up, it's only going to show player 2. So it's not doing exactly what I want it to do, and I don't know why. We're going to go in here and figure that out, though. So let's make sure that where we're putting this actually has a damn page layout, because if it doesn't, that could be a problem. And it does. Okay, maybe this is set to it is instead of vertical. And then we want to center, top is fine. So maybe that's what it was, and instead of like lining up and down, it was lining left to right. And so let's load this up and let's see, because maybe it is working, and maybe it's just how it is being put into the frame to where we can't see it. Let's check it out. Let's see. And this is what coding is, guys. Like, this is why people are like, they think I'm a genius. I'm not a genius, bro. I just type stuff into a script and then I see what happens. And if it doesn't work, then we're gonna do some research, or we're gonna ask ChatGPT, and we're gonna do our best to solve the problem. So, all right, yeah. It's showing up there, but now the only thing I don't like is like how far apart it is, because I want these to be like on each other. You know what I mean? And you see, it's like lined up all weird and everything. We don't want any of that. Like, I'm not gonna have any of that. So I'm gonna have to come back in and just edit all of it. So we know that it's doing what we need it to do. Now we just need it to like work better, I guess. So the way that we can edit this is really simple. Instead of just trying to guess all the time, we can actually not duplicate. We will have to duplicate something, but we can set this to visible first so we can see, what the hell we're doing. We can go here and we can duplicate this template like 3 or 4 times. Set them all to visible. So boom. So now you can see, like, we can see all of our chats here, and I don't want them that far apart because that's just like the player can't see them. I was getting confused, so the player's gonna get confused. And so the way we can mess with this is with the padding. We can go in here and just change this to like 200. Keep bringing it up, maybe 300. I want them to be close, even if there is some distance. Like, I just want them to be pretty close. All right, and then we have the ability to move to the other frames, but this is like the best that I can ask for right this moment. So now that we have that, we can delete all these templates and set this one to invisible. So now that we have that fixed, there was something else that I wanted to change. This like message frame, like, for some reason when I try to line it up in the center, it just wants to like not do right. It wants to look all weird, but that's fine. We're just gonna roll with it and do what we gotta do. So now that we have our messages button like nice and picked up, I think what we're gonna need to do is like duplicate this, like one of these frames, so that we can like open the message, and like send the player a message. Now, I don't know the best way to do this, to be honest. I honestly didn't think I was gonna get this far, so now what I'm doing is just winging it. So we have our message frame set up, right? Everything is good to go. It all opens properly. You can see the players in there, and if I test it, I'll be able to see like both player 1 and player 2, and it has the player image. But there are some things, oh yeah, I forgot, but there are some things that I wanted to edit about this, because like, it's cool and all, but there's like some spaces right there. You see that? And I could really notice it because like I made this, but like you might not be able to. But we don't want any spaces. Like, we just want it to be all one. Alright, so now that we have that, our script is going to update everything that we need it to update. And we'll also have it like update the calls as well, like to be able to call the player. But I'm not there yet. Like, we just want to focus on the messaging, because the calling is going to be different than the messaging. Because the messaging is just going to be like, you're going to send a message, the player's going to get a notification, but like the message will always be there. Like, you can message any player in the game and the message will save, and you can go back and reopen that message and continue your conversation. But the call frame is going to be different, like where you call a player, and if they don't answer, you'll be able to leave a message. And I'm going to change this frame. Like, I'm going to delete this status frame altogether. It's because I don't like it. And we're just going to have like the message and the call now, and then I'm going to have another frame for voicemails, so that like if a player doesn't call, you can leave a voicemail and they can call you back. Or you can just send them a message, however you want to do it. But those are the ways that we're gonna do it. And so I think right now, guys, that's probably all I have for you. I'll probably have another devlog out in a couple of days. Every time I go to work on this, I'm just gonna record myself working on it. It kind of helps me figure my thoughts out as well. And so this is what we have. We just wrote a quick 40 lines of code, and like all this does is, make our phone functional. So even though it's not there, I can still go home. I can reopen this up, and it's going to show the player's name and the player's picture, and we'll have this all the way down, so with any player that's in the game. And so I think this is pretty cool. We're on the road to something right, I think. So if you guys like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and follow along. And if you want to code along with this, it's going to be a little difficult because I do some of the designing off screen, because I like to listen to music or watch TV or something while I do it. But if you guys like it, I will be releasing this whenever I'm done with it. I'm going to code literally every function of this, like even to the books. Like, I'm going to have ChatGPT write me some stories so that we can put it in the books and have players go in and read books. And then our ways, I'll show you how to set up a map with ways. And so there's just a lot of projects that we can do inside of this phone. And if there's any more app ideas, like we can do app games, we can do all kinds of stuff just to make this a very, very interactive phone. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will let you guys go. So remember to stay tuned.